It's Monday, August 24th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. How do maritime premiers intend to protect businesses and workers hurt by tariffs? A smash and grab robbery at a maritime Costco illustrates the level of retail theft.
Most of the rain has passed, and it's a mix of sun and cloud ahead for Tuesday with a lower chance of showers.
Live from our Maritime's News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. Canada could lose 87,000 jobs because of new tariffs leveled against $28 billion in exports. A drop in interprovincial trade and broader economic slowdown could soon bring layoffs here in the Maritimes. Now, that's according to a University of Calgary study. Today, the three premiers address the possible impacts and efforts to combat them. CTV's Anna Madden reports from Fredericton.
Maritime premiers are starting the week with a new trade reality. New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt is standing behind Prime Minister Mark Carney's decision not to accept the trade deal presented by the U.S. government.
We want the best deal for New Brunswickers, not just any deal, and certainly not a bad deal. You cannot negotiate a fair deal when the other side keeps changing the terms right up until the last minute.
She expects the tariffs to impact $112 million in New Brunswick exports, with early estimates suggesting it will affect about 500 jobs province-wide. The government is offering help, including retraining and income support.
At the end of the day, we need economic growth. We need to be driving good-paying jobs in this province. We need to be making maximum use of our natural resources.
And she says energy exports to the U.S. remain on the table as a negotiating tool, but they're still weighing the best retaliatory measures.
As Team Canada, we want to see the largest impact on the U.S. with the smallest impact on New Brunswick and on Canada.
Meanwhile, Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston is also voicing his support for Carney.
We're on Team Canada here for sure. This is a time for national unities to get together, but it's a time for us to build. It's a time for us to do and look for reasons to build and do, and we're focused on that here in Nova Scotia.
This was a difficult decision for Canada.
Prince Edward Island Premier Rob Lance was not available for an interview today, but in a video posted to Facebook on Sunday, he calls Carney's decision the right one.
The final terms were just unacceptable. The unfortunate reality is this is going to hurt.
All three premiers are encouraging residents to support local as businesses and provinces expand export markets. Anna Madden, CTV News, Fredericton.
Now, no one is watching and worrying more than business owners and workers in industries now hit with those punishing export tariffs. CTV's Jonathan McGuinness has more.
The latest round of U.S. tariffs feels like piling on. A 50% levy on a long list of items from honey to hockey sticks, wood, wigs, and wine heading into the American market from Canada is now in effect.
Our data shows to us across the country that the businesses that are exporting, 40% of them said they had products that would be affected by these 50% tariffs.
The Atlantic Vice President of the Canadian Federation of Independent Business says optimism dipped following last year's tariffs, but entrepreneurs adapted. This time around, however, making ends meet could be more difficult.
So for the businesses that are going to be affected, it'll essentially mean for some of them that they will be completely uncompetitive and simply won't be able to bring their product to market.
Despite alcohol being one of the tariff targets, an official with the Nova Scotia wine industry says they don't think local vineyards are in the crosshairs.
We don't really export a lot to U.S. It'd be very, very small.
The head of Wine Growers Nova Scotia wants to continue to expand the domestic market.
It's just a really good opportunity with everything that's going on to really, keep purchasing local.
Direct-to-consumer agreements among most provinces, coupled with the removal of American alcohol from store shelves, has boosted the sale of Nova Scotia wines by 14%, according to the CEO of Grand Pré Wines.
Canadian consumers have discovered Canadian wine in a different way over the last year.
Other industries aren't as fortunate. That's why many are calling for relief packages to help keep their doors open. And Todd, business owners will soon have another levy to consider when Canada's dollar-for-dollar counter tariffs come into effect September 8th. Todd.
All right, John, in North End, Halifax this evening. We're going to make this the web poll tonight, and we're asking, are you worried the latest tariff developments will make your life less affordable? Yes, no, or maybe you don't know enough about the topic. You soon will, with all the news that's being produced about it. We'd love to hear from you. Just after 6:30, we'll bring you a conversation with Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston about the impacts and his plans for the province. And for the latest trade updates and to vote on that poll, you can go to ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Caught in the middle of the rising tensions are border communities like Campobello Island. CTV's Nick Moore traveled to the Funday Isle, where neighborly cooperation is not only valued, it's vital.
Just hours after the Canada-U.S. trade deal fell apart, representatives from both countries gathered on Campobello Island, New Brunswick, to celebrate a history of international cooperation. Saturday's unveiling of the International Boundary Survey plaque at Mulholland Point Lighthouse commemorates sharing the world's longest undefended border.
This is the first one. There will probably be others along the boundary. Quite an achievement. We forget that amongst all the politics, if you will.
Everybody kind of jumped on really quick and thought this was the perfect location. People will be here, people will see it, and it's great to just get the word out.
The plaque has been placed at the easternmost land crossing of the international boundary overlooking Lebec, Maine, and the Franklin D. Roosevelt International Bridge linking Campobello Island to the mainland. The island is also connected to New Brunswick by a seasonal ferry. The timing of the ceremony during one of the most contentious moments in Canada-U.S. relations was subtly referred to, but was not made the focus.
A very fitting time to actually go ahead with this. I think the world needs to hear about the fact that people are continuing to get along. This represents all of the values of this park.
U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's summer home on Campobello is the only park in the world jointly administered, staffed, and funded by two countries.
Before it was a park, this island represents that kind of the benefits of friendliness.
Anne Roosevelt, the granddaughter of FDR, is vice chair of the Parks Commission.
I think many of us feel, especially now, we need to hear messages of understanding and how to conduct ourselves in ways that are productive and helpful, and honor that friendship.
A long history of international partnership that is on the line, but around here is still worth marking. Nick Moore, CTV News, Campobello Island, New Brunswick.
A devastating early morning fire has destroyed an historic church on the Acadian Peninsula. Firefighters were called to the church in Saint-Simon, that's near Caracat, overnight and fought the intense blaze for several hours. The chief of the Caracat Fire Department told CTV News he believes the fire is suspicious. There were no injuries, but the church is a total loss, with 4 nearby buildings also damaged. According to the chief, the church was over a century old and built almost entirely of wood. Firefighters from Caracat, Shippagan, and Bertrand responded. It's a huge loss for people in that area. A downtown Moncton building, among the oldest in that city, has been destroyed by fire. The fire at the vacant downtown structure began early Sunday morning, and it was torn down several hours later. There were no injuries, and the fire did not spread to nearby buildings. The home was originally built in the early 1870s and was moved from Main Street to the corners of Weldon and Gordon Streets in 1908.
Yeah, it was a bit stubborn because it's an older building, it's a legacy building, so there's a lot of voids. Certainly some renovations over the years that made it a little stubborn, a little difficult to get at. So it was determined that actually it's best for firefighter safety once we determined it was empty, to protect the exposures and go defensive and hit it from the outside and then eventually bring it down.
Chief Calhoun said the building was torn down Sunday afternoon for the safety of both firefighters and the general public. The cause of this fire is under investigation at this hour. Police in our region are being kept busy with violent retail crime. The latest act, caught on camera, shows a man seemingly robbing a Halifax Costco during a busy Friday night. CTV's Vanessa Wright has the details.
Crimes like this one are becoming more common, even with an audience.
To go all the way inside a Costco where there's literally hundreds of people walking around and start smashing in front of hundreds of people in a Costco where the exits are, guarded. is incredibly brazen. It shows you that thieves have become just much more aggressive.
The video taken by a Costco shopper last Friday night is what Halifax police are reviewing in their investigation.
Staff reported that a man entered the store, proceeded to the jewelry display case, smashed it open with a hammer, and then fled on foot with a quantity of jewelry.
Police didn't provide details on how much worth of it he took, but it's a case they've seen before, and according to retail analyst Bruce Winder, one they'll likely see again.
We really need to close the loop on this. You know, it's been going on a long time now, and certainly there must be some solutions to this. Hopefully politicians have the political appetite to get a bit more aggressive on bail reform, on sentencing.
Bruce Winder says these types of crimes have far-reaching impacts, affecting not only the retailer, but the consumer too.
You know, if this keeps happening, retailers have to increase prices to us. And we're already in an inflationary environment, and we could be in a bigger inflationary environment with any counter tariffs that the Prime Minister puts in place in September. So it's just another reason to try to clamp down on this.
CTV News reached out to Costco for comment but did not hear back. Though 2 people seemingly tried to stop the man, police say in cases like these, don't get involved.
We would always advise to not try to intervene, obviously for safety reasons.
As they race to put a stop to a problem that seems to have taken off. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Halifax.
It is, well, that's a violent-looking sky over the Minas Basin right now in Parsboro, where it's 22 degrees. Let's get our first look at the forecast now. Kaylin Mitchell.
Ominous.
Some pretty impressive rainfall totals, and it's not the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, those Parsboro right now is underneath the severe thunderstorm warning. There's actually a number of severe thunderstorms and downpours. It's moving along a line extending from the west of Nova Scotia up towards Parsboro, as well as in the southeast New Brunswick. More on that in a moment. This weather system, though, because of all the subtropical moisture tied up in it, did produce some very high rainfall amounts for parts of the Maritime, some of the hardest hit areas around the eastern shore of mainland Nova Scotia, and then extending into Cape Breton, where some locations reported some rainfall totals in excess of 100 millimeters. These aren't even finalized totals because most of these came from reports Sunday through Monday morning. The area in Cape Breton, though, that seemed to pick up the most rain extended from parts of Richmond County and then surrounding areas of Bredor Lake and then all the way up towards the Sydney Mines area. Here's where several personal weather stations reported some amounts between 80 to 130 millimeters of rain, and accompanied by some reports of some localized flooding. And Cape Breton is expected to get more rain as we make our way through tonight. But most of the severe thunderstorm action is further towards the west. We have a series of severe thunderstorm watches and warnings issued. The warnings here highlighted in through the red. We'll take a closer look at those. There's a line of thunderstorms basically moving from the southwest to the northeast at about 55 kilometers per hour. The risk here is that multiple thunderstorms could move over the same location, increasing the rainfall amounts they bring, and that increases the risks of things such as localized flooding. The good news is down towards Caledonia, it looks like the thunderstorms have weakened. Kentville, though, will need to watch out for another one to come up in the vicinity. That's just moving past Crossburn now. Up towards Parsboro, most of the action actually looks like it is taking place just to the west of Parsboro, so maybe moving more towards the Advocate Harbor area. Definitely looks like a few more downpours to pass through there. And a big thunderstorm right now, just moving into the east of Moncton. Looks like it's in the vicinity of Shediac. Definitely a downpour with that one. You want to wait that one out inside if you can. And surrounded by severe thunderstorm watch as well. Potential that maybe that thunderstorm could hold together, cross the Northumberland Strait, and get into Prince County of Prince Edward Island. So I'll update on this, and then when I come back, we'll take a look at the extended forecast. We'll get past this weather system, maybe find some sunshine in the forecast, Todd. And like I said, I'll have that coming up later on.
Okay, we'll do that in about 15 minutes. Now, one of those areas in Cape Breton that Kaylin was just talking about, folks there had a pretty rough night. CTV's Ryan McDonald reports.
Got 2 sub pumps going. This was the scene yesterday at a shop inside the basement of a house in Eskasoni.
There was a foot of water. I was in Crocs, which made me completely dirty.
Before long, there was a crowd of people on hand helping pump the water out. Today, people were still showing up with buckets, shop vacs, and dehumidifiers. They managed to save most of the inventory, but the floors will likely have to be replaced.
And we were completely drenched in dirty water, and so it was really a horrible
icky kind of night to have.
And it never stopped raining. I had to get out of here. I went down to my friend's place and stayed there overnight.
Just down the highway in Benacity, this man spent today filling in his driveway, repairing what was washed away by yesterday's heavy rain. He says the river next to where he lives nearly reached his trailer, and that it's not the first time his property has been damaged like this.
I mean, this is terrible. This place was neat as a pin when I had it. It wasn't a thing out of place.
Over 142 millimeters of rain.
That's roughly the amount Escazone got, one of yesterday's highest rainfall totals in the province. The band has been working around the clock to help people with flooded basements and roof leaks and to repair washed-out driveways and roads.
So we have around 25 calls, floods, basement, and which are EMO and our housing contractors. They went to calls last night, and they've been working all night and still today. And
here in Escazone today, much of the water that was on the ground yesterday is now gone. But with even more rain expected in the forecast, people here are now on guard to try and prevent that same kind of flooding from happening again.
Escazone got a lot of rain last night, and so it's just making sure that we're on top of it this time.
Chief Leroy Denny adds there was no major damage and no one was hurt, and they are ready to ask for help from the Cape Breton Regional Municipality and the province if they were to need it. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Escazone First Nation.
A large power outage in downtown Halifax early this morning was the result of a fire at Scotiabank Centre. The outage impacted more than 3,600 Nova Scotia Power customers. It was due to smoke conditions from a small electrical panel at Scotiabank Centre. The fire officials had it quickly extinguished. However, it created the outage in the downtown core, including street lights and traffic signals. Power was restored at around 7 o'clock. Would a new boat solve chronic problems with Halifax's ferry service? That's the mayor's suggestion for the commuter crossing, plagued by maintenance issues. But as CTV's Emma Convey reports, the ferries are nowhere near their end of life.
Halifax's ferries are supposed to be the most reliable method of transit, never having to sit in rush hour traffic or deal with potholes. But in recent months, between scheduled and surprise maintenance, some ferries have been knocked out of service, slowing transit. And Mayor Andy Fillmore wants to address the problem.
As we saw from January to March of this year, we lost 40,000 harbor crossings due to two ferries being out of the water for maintenance at the same time. That meant we had to go to a 30-minute crossing. That was equal to the loss of 21% of our ferry crossings.
The current 5-vessel fleet went into service between 2014 and 2018. The newest of those each cost $6 million. A recent staff report says at least $20 million would be needed for midlife upgrades. That's on top of another $23 million for terminal repairs. Fillmore will address it at council tomorrow, wanting to find out what a new ferry would cost.
So this particular proposal is to have one more of the same while all this other work is going on about what the ferry system of the future looks like. And we got a little glimpse into that with the Bedford ferry and knowing that that's going to be an electric or a hybrid electric format. And we'll see where that all goes.
Dartmouth councillor Tony Mancini supports the idea of the mayor's motion, but has questions.
Is one more enough, or do we need two more? What's the intent of it? How much does it cost? How long does it take? Where is the money coming from? Is it coming from a reserve? All these questions that I do have.
Right now, when demand is spiking for the ferry, we need a way to make the current system, the current technology work better.
The mayor also has his own questions, like cost and options for a new ferry. Emma Convey, CTV News, Halifax.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Future doctors walked through the doors of the new Cape Breton University Medical School today. The new medical science building is a partnership between Dalhousie University's Faculty of Medicine and Cape Breton University. The program actually started last year with the first cohort of medical students studying in a temporary building. Today, 30 new first-year students joined the class, bringing the total to 60 med students in the program. The first class graduates in 2029. Time for a break. Still ahead in your newscast tonight, Kayla Mitchell will tell us when this muggy, wet weather will move on out. A few questions for Premier Tim Houston on trade. But first, puck drop.
I heard they're going to have a lot of good players, so I'm excited to get to know everybody and see where we go.
Hockey hopefuls are in training camps as Maritime Q League teams gear up for opening day. That's next.
This is the Campfire Conditions Report brought to you by Pine Acres RV, where customers become friends. And with the soggy end to the weekend and the start of this week in the Maritimes, campfires are currently allowed in the province of New Brunswick. And for Nova Scotia, campfires are allowed between the hours of 2 p.m. and 8 a.m. Likewise, for Prince Edward Island, campfires are currently allowed with domestic brush burning permitted between the hours of 2 p.m. and 8 a.m. The next update to those provincial restrictions will be at 2 p.m. on August 25th.
If you need a distraction from trade talk, this might help. Training camps are underway for the region's Q League hockey teams, and perhaps nowhere are fans more optimistic about the season than in Cape Breton. Ryan McDonald tells us why.
It's the 30th anniversary season for the Cape Breton Eagles, and expectations are sky high.
They're building a great team this year, and so this year I said, you know what, I'm buying season tickets.
3 decades in, though, the only banner hanging from the Center 200 rafters is a regular season division title from more than 20 years ago. The Eagles have never won a Q League championship. They have never even made it to a final.
There always has to be somebody that has the longest drought. And unfortunately now, especially with Chicoutimi making the finals last year, that drought now belongs to the Eagles.
Several players who helped the Chicoutimi Saguenayens win last year's Q League championship, that city's first title in more than 30 years, have been traded to Cape Breton for this season.
I heard they're going to have a lot of good players, so I'm excited to get to know everybody and see where we go.
There are new players from the United States, too, including Easton Anello, a defenseman from Massachusetts.
I heard that it gets pretty packed, so there's a lot of season ticket holders.
That was the case in spring 2024 when the Eagles made a surprise run to the league semifinal and sold out a number of playoff games. Since then, though, attendance has tapered off.
You know, you've been here 30 years, you know, you go to the semis one year and then you get knocked out. It's hard.
Perhaps just as difficult has been watching Maritime rivals lift the big trophy. The Halifax Mooseheads and St. John's Sea Dogs have each brought home the Memorial Cup. The Moncton Wildcats have won 3 Q League titles.
And when they can go far in the playoffs, as the Eagles did 2 years ago, as even the Cape Breton Oilers did back in '93, they will be fully on board.
Indeed, the last championship parade in downtown Sydney was during the American Hockey League days in the 1990s. If the Eagles could pull something like that off this year,
I wouldn't sleep. I would be down there all hours of the night, all hours of the day, celebrating.
For now, it's about 24 more sleeps until the regular season gets underway September 18th against rival Halifax. Brian McDonald, CTV News, Sydney.
With wet, muggy weather, we're a long way from winter and hockey weather. That might be a good thing. This is what it looked like in Bedford. The rain coming down. Kalen's next. Wow, this is what it looked like during downpours along Dartmouth Cove at midday. Our fast-acting director grabbed these shots.
Yeah.
And that tells the story.
Does it ever? And that's the type of conditions we've been seeing with this latest weather system in the Maritimes. Downpours, thunderstorms we talked about earlier, parts of Cape Breton seeing a tremendous amount of rain. And then what we're feeling, Todd, is just that very thick air. It's like porridge thick out there at times. The humidity, very tropical feel. And there's a reason for that. And for that, let's head over and take a look at the tail of the tape with this weather system. And we can talk a little bit more about why we're seeing what we're seeing, feeling what we're feeling, and when it's all going to be changing. lightning. So this is a very slow moving but very long cold front. It extends from Atlantic Canada all the way down to the southeastern United States, and it's drawing up a lot of moisture from the subtropical Atlantic, and that's why we have that tropical feel and all that moisture available to feed into the rain, the downpours, and the thunderstorms. Now, it's a slow moving weather system, but it is expected to move through tonight. So changes are on the horizon for us, and as I talked about, has brought in a lot of rain for parts of the Maritimes, including some totals over 100 millimeters for areas of Cape Breton. And as we heard from Ryan, there's some reports of localized flooding. As we take a look at our forecast timeline then for cloud cover and precipitation, first of all, this evening, there is still a risk of some thunderstorms, some training thunderstorms with downpours from the west of Nova Scotia up towards Cumberland County and then towards southeastern areas of New Brunswick, with potential that maybe a few of those thunderstorms could reach Prince County in Prince Edward Island. Now, moving through this evening and tonight, those are expected to wind down. And the rest of the night around the Maritimes, the humidity is going to be taking another form, and that's going to be for some very thick fog. So be careful about areas, reduced visibility if you're out in the roads, both tonight and first thing tomorrow morning. There might be a little bit more rain to come for parts of Cape Breton. The rain looks like it'll be most likely in Richmond County as well as Sydney and Cape Breton County, and there a low chance of a shower to linger into the start of the day for tomorrow. Otherwise, around the Maritimes, it's going to be cloudy and foggy. Now, there will be some change from the morning into the afternoon with the fog dissipating or retreating to parts of the coast. When the sun breaks through, it's going to feel very warm, not as stifling humid as the last 24 hours, but there will be some mugginess to the air. And because there's going to be some warm and muggy air near the surface and a little bit of drier air moving in aloft, afternoon into evening, we're going to be seeing some isolated pop-up showers in parts of the Maritimes. With those showers, a risk that a few of them could turn over to some thunderstorms. So where is that most likely for tomorrow? Northern western areas of New Brunswick as well as interior areas of mainland Nova Scotia, but a lower chance outside those zones as well. Because of the lingering mugginess in the air, one of the risks with those thunderstorms, along with lightning, which is dangerous at any time, would be the potential for some localized downpours. Looking forward to our temperatures for tonight. Quite warm and stuffy for southern areas of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia. Most of the lows mid to high teens. A little bit more comfortable in the northwest of New Brunswick because the front's going through that part of the Maritimes first. So some lows will fall into a range of 12 to 15. Highs for tomorrow in the north of New Brunswick, mostly low to mid-20s. With central and southern parts of the province with a lot of high temperatures around the mid-20s, the low 20s, right along the Bay of Fundy coastline. Light southwest winds, so a little bit onshore there. Prince Edward Island for tomorrow with high temperatures around the mid-20s, but feeling closer to 30 with the humidity in the air. Eastern areas of Nova Scotia, a lot of the high temperatures will be mid-20s, except low to mid-20s on parts of the coast. But again, humidex will be a factor, so it'll be feeling high 20s and some near 30. Same thing goes for northern and central parts of the province, where most of the high temperatures will be between 24 and 27. A very warm, muggy day for the Annapolis Valley for tomorrow. And then on the south shore of Nova Scotia, if you're looking for a little bit of relief, you can go to those coastal areas. The high temperatures there between 21 and 24 because of that light southwest wind. Looking ahead into the extended forecast, we've got fair weather coming up Wednesday and Thursday, and the next weather front after that for the Maritimes lined up Friday into Saturday, and that'll return a chance of some rain and some showers to the region. So New Brunswick looking quite pleasant Wednesday and Thursday. Humidity comes down a little bit more. There'll be a chance of showers with that next front on Friday, followed up by mix of sun and cloud on Saturday. Sunday's looking pretty sunny right now, and then a chance of showers on Monday of next week. For Nova Scotia, in the extended outlook, generally fair weather conditions through Wednesday and Thursday of this week, and then that front arrives the Friday into Saturday time frame, brings a chance of showers along with it. That's followed by a mix of sun and cloud on Sunday, and then a chance of showers on Monday of next week. And for Prince Edward Island, things looking pretty nice for both Wednesday and Thursday. Both days a mix of sun and cloud, highs around the mid-20s. There'll be a chance of showers with that next arriving front Friday into Saturday. That's followed by a mix of sun and cloud for Sunday, and a chance of showers on Monday of next week. Todd.
All right, we'll see you later for the Wake Up Weather. This afternoon, we spoke with Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston about the trade tensions and how it will impact the province. We'll bring you that next.
Okay, so coming up on the show tomorrow, another chance to win some tickets to get off the magnetic world.
Yeah, that'll be happening around 7:30 each day this week.
You could be seeing Neo and Akon. Good luck.
Back to our top story, of course, escalating trade war with the United States. Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston joins us from Pictou County tonight. Premier, thank you for your time. I want to ask you, New Brunswick estimates it has about $112 million of exports that will now be subject to those 50% U.S. tariffs. Is there a similar estimate for Nova Scotia?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big impact for sure. Would be in that range, a little bit higher. I mean, when you look across the country, I think Nova Scotia would be one of the least impacted provinces, just when you consider the huge impact in Quebec and Ontario and BC. But you know, it's going to impact people. I mean, that's the reality of it. No matter how big the numbers or how small it is going to impact people and businesses and communities. This is going to have a big impact on Nova Scotians for sure.
Does your government have a contingency plan to support businesses and workers that will be impacted?
Yeah, I think, you know, a couple of things on that. I mean, obviously, we have to have a plan to go forward. So we'll support those businesses and those people as best we can. We'll work with the federal government on that. There's some programs that were already in place from the last time we kind of went through this. But now it's really about, you know, how do we insulate Nova Scotia so we're not in this situation where every time somebody in Washington makes a decision, a crazy decision, whatever type of decision, that we feel it here. We can't control what happens in Washington, but we can control what happens here in Nova Scotia. So we'll try to be there for workers and businesses and families through this process. But really, we can't put all our eggs in that one basket with the United States. That's the clear message from this. They're not dependable right now. They're not reliable. I have all kinds of things to say about how we got here, but the important thing is where we go from here. And you're quite right to focus on that. So I think for us, it's support in this moment, but also we need to develop our own resources, develop our energy supply. A lot of our energy is coming from the United States right now. It's a big, huge vulnerability. Meanwhile, we have access to resources under our feet. So develop our energy, develop our critical resources, look for new markets, work with those companies that are looking for new trading partners to export to. So we'll continue that work. That's work that has already started. But I think we need to really, really ramp that up and get Nova Scotians on that common ground where we can see this is the way forward from this.
You're talking about oil in particular, in terms of energy coming from the States?
Natural gas, but we have natural gas. Onshore, we have natural gas. Offshore, we have oil offshore. We have incredible wind resources. We have incredible access to energy and power. But now we need to dig deep and come up with the most important source of power, and that's willpower. And as a province, we need to exercise our willpower to do what we can so we are more protected from these types of events.
What retaliations would you be willing to recommend to the Prime Minister be imposed on the U.S.?
So of course we're going to maintain the ones we have here. The alcohol is not going back on the shelves. Some of the stuff we have around procurement, that stuff remains. But look, we're dealing with President Trump is so far out on this one. I mean, he has a real history of making deals with his fingers crossed behind his back. He can't, so we thought we had a deal last week, but turns out his fingers were crossed behind his back. So we know that that's who we're dealing with here. But they're also a huge market. So we need to be very careful on the decisions we make here that we don't, hurt ourselves more and then cause them to retaliate more. But clearly there's a response that's necessary. I'll support the Prime Minister in whatever he deems necessary, and this will work with him on some of the ideas. But certainly, the things we're doing, the alcohol is really something that gets under the skin of them. So we're going to maintain that, and we'll do what else we can. But we'll support. We're on Team Canada here for sure. This is the time for national unities to get together. But it's a time for us to build. It's a time for us to do, and look for reasons to build and do. And we're focused on that here in Nova Scotia.
For all the talk and efforts of finding new markets, can the U.S. market be replaced?
The U.S. will always be a market for us just because of proximity and ease. It's close. It's a close truck ride, whatever, train ride, whatever the case may be. So we're always going to have some relationship there. It's got to be fair. It's got to be one that we can live with. We're having difficulty finding that right now. But there are huge opportunities for us to find new markets, and we are. If you look at some of the trading that we're doing with European countries, that is up significantly. Looking for new markets for seafood and stuff. We have what the world wants. We really do, and we haven't pressed on that. but we are pressing on it now, and we're finding receptive trading partners because the world at this point in time, in this moment, they want a reliable partner that they can trust. And Canada is trusted, and Canada has all kinds of things that the world wants. So these are the advantages of this moment. The United States is making their decisions. They're causing a lot of chaos in the world, and it's really bad. It's a tough time, but we have things that others want to.
Until that happens and projects get going, we have the potential of job losses. Certainly with retaliatory dollar-for-dollar tariffs, things will get more expensive here. Should Nova Scotians be prepared for a certain level of hardship in the coming months?
It's going to be difficult for sure. It's difficult on Americans. He's really causing a huge impact on Americans, but absolutely the impact on Nova Scotians for sure. We know a lot of companies who they're major customers in the United States. They're feeling concerned tonight. I'm concerned. It is a time for a concern for sure. So in this moment, we will do what we can as a country, really, to unite behind each other and support each other and support people through this. There will be some tough days ahead, but I believe we can get through those tough days ahead, and we can also come out much stronger when we do the things that are within our power. As I said, the decisions Donald Trump makes, they're not within our power, but there are lots of decisions that are within our power, and if we move on those, we will get through this, and we will be in a better, more secure place for in the long term for future generations, but also over the short and medium term too. There's a lot we can do.
This afternoon, Vice President J.D. Vance was in Brewer, just across the bridge from Bangor, and he told a crowd that Canada has to stop taking advantage of Maine. You've often met with the governor of Maine in the last year or so. You ever hear the governor or anyone else, lawmakers in Maine, express concern that Canada or the Maritimes was poorly treating Maine?
No, I mean, this is a type of rhetoric that, like, oftentimes there's lots I'm experiencing lots of emotions on things I could say about the President of the United States and his internal circle, including the Vice President right now. But I don't know that
your colleague Doug Ford certainly did this afternoon.
Yeah, he doesn't come. But I need to think about a productive way forward. I will tell you this: I have a great relationship with many governors across the United States, including those in New England. We're on the same path on how we can work together to improve things in their economy and improve things in our economy. I was just in Vermont last week, I think, maybe the week before, and I asked the governor there. I was asked in a setting like this in a press conference, about the president's nasty comments. I said, well, Governor, anyone else here, does anyone think Canadians are nasty? Of course they don't think we are. So, but look, this is a difficult time. And the emotions are very high. I think the President of the United States has overplayed his hand here. He's pushed too far. He has underestimated the loyalty of Canadians to Canada, and he has underestimated the unity we feel as a country and how proud we are of our country. These are loyalty and pride are things that I don't think are familiar terms to him, so he has a difficult time grasping it, but we feel it and we know it, and we are loyal to Canada and we love our country, and we will get through this. And there'll be a trading partner, but only on fair terms. And there's a lot we can do that we will do.
Premier Houston, we'll have to leave it there tonight. Appreciate your time from Pictou County. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with more of your newscast after this. In health headlines, a new survey suggests the percentage of youth struggling with mental health is back to pre-pandemic levels. CTV's Amanda Debison has more in the Monday edition of The Lifeline.
The Centre for Addiction and Mental Health says psychological distress among Ontario youth appears to have decreased since the pandemic, but still remains high.
CAMH surveyed young people in middle and high school in Ontario. It found 46% reported a moderate to serious level of psychological distress in 2025. That's a decrease from 2023, but the lead researchers say it's still much higher than it was more than a decade ago. The survey also found fewer students are using alcohol and drugs, and those who do are waiting longer before trying them. Meantime, online gambling has surged, with 1 in 10 students placing sports bets in 2025, compared with 1 in 100 in 2017. Finally, in Athens, hats are becoming almost as essential as sunscreen as tourists reach for everything from straw boaters to baseball caps to beat the summer heat. The Acropolis welcomed a record 4.6 million visitors last year, many of them spending hours in mid-30s Celsius temperatures with little shade. Health advocates say growing awareness of heat stroke and UV exposure is helping drive demand.
Because I think they're more educated now about the UV radiation and how the sunlight and sun exposure can affect the skin and the aging of the skin and skin cancer.
Greek hat makers are noticing the change too, saying customers who once laughed at the idea of wearing a hat are now putting one on and heading straight out the door. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for the Lifeline.
With Aaron and Peter. Hey, if you like to play the $1,000 Minute, get ready because we're going to start playing it twice every weekday.
7 a.m. and 8 a.m. every weekday starting in September, the $1,000 Minute.
On the markets, the Dow Jones opened the trading week up 140 points. As we mentioned earlier, those new American tariffs imposed this weekend will put jobs on the line and bring the dollar down. Morella Fernandez now with details.
One estimate put 50,000 positions directly at risk and another 35,000 indirectly at risk. Analysis shows Ontario, Quebec, and BC being the hardest hit provinces, with concentrated job losses in machinery, electronics, plastics, and rubber. But the domino effect means other provinces will also feel this. The Prime Minister has promised to support industries affected by the new 50% markup, but it's not yet clear what that will look like. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 72.72 US. West Texas Intermediate is down to 85.01 US a barrel. Western Canadian Select is up to 68.23, and the TSX gained 93 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Kayla Mitchell is outside with one more look at the forecast. Well, you have a jacket, but no umbrella.
That's right. So right now here in the north end of Halifax, it's breezy, it's cloudy, it's certainly muggy. I do expect that there will be quite a bit of fog that develops a little bit later on as we make our way through this evening and tonight. There are some thunderstorms still active in the Maritimes, though. Some downpours still ongoing in parts of Cumberland County. And then there's a thunderstorm actually approaching Prince County, Prince Edward Island right now. Might need to watch out for that in the O'Leary area, basically on your doorstep now. Thunder roars, head indoors, head inside and wait that one out. Let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight. So we talked a lot about this evening about the very heavy rainfall, or the very high rainfall totals that came out of Cape Breton as part of this weather system. Here's a more picturesque scene in Cape Breton from this past weekend. This was on Saturday. Was sent in from Big Ridge by Scott Kerr. I want to thank Scott very much for taking the time to send in this great picture. And tomorrow for the Big Ridge area, fog in the morning, then a mix of sun and cloud in the afternoon, high near 25, but feeling closer to 30 with the humidex. And there'll be a low chance of a shower afternoon into evening, about a 30% chance. Day planner for tomorrow, first thing in the Maritimes around the region. Just be careful about areas of low visibility because of the presence of some fog and some cloud cover. Now that fog dissipates from the morning into the afternoon. Sun breaks through. It's very warm. It's a little muggy. May see some pop-up showers, and with those pop-up showers, the risk that a couple of them could turn into some thunderstorms. The risk for that will be highest tomorrow in the north and west of New Brunswick, as well as interior areas of Nova Scotia. Todd.
Okay, thank you, Kayla. And I know folks can get another update in the late night show tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. And finally for us this evening, another robot fail. We love these to show you. And this one is at the World Humanoid Robot Games in China. A robot trying to pick up a weight. Gotta see this? There he goes. He's almost there. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh yes. It's right into the judges' table. The fall took place during the weightlifting final at the second edition of the Games, and he's carted off. China's robot games have become a national showcase celebrated by state media and increasingly a proving ground. Okay. For commercial products from companies looking to show real-world applications beyond the spectacle. not the case this time. There is some comfort in knowing that robots still have some work to do, isn't there? And there's his buddy trying to catch up to make sure he's all right. Okay, that will do it for our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco is back at 11:30, CTV News Atlantic in the app. We have updates anytime. I'm Todd Battis. Hope to see you. Good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.